If you've spent any real time online lately, you know the feeling, right? That frustration. These big social media platforms, they just feel like these black boxes.
Totally opaque. You put your heart into building something, a community.
Yeah, you post content, and then who knows? Does it get seen? Does it get buried? Does it get, zapped entirely?
And it's all down to some algorithm you can't see and a policy team you definitely can't talk to.
Zero transparency, zero control.
Yeah.
It's a real issue.
It really is. It's just this massive erosion of trust. You're locked in, basically. They can change the rules, change the tech overnight.
And your community, the thing you built, is kind of held hostage. So the big question is, how do you fix that power imbalance? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We looked at sources asking this fundamental question. What if running a really sophisticated, robust social network?
One that actually gives you sovereignty.
Right. What if that was as easy as, say, setting up a basic blog? What if you could launch your own online space, your own rules, without needing to be some kind of tech genius?
And that's the core mission we found in the materials we looked at. They talk a lot about something called Web4 Lite and this push towards a community-based internet.
Okay.
So today we're here to unpack how this whole thing supposedly works. It seems to blend radical open source thinking with AI for governance.
AI for governance, okay.
Yeah, and crucially, really, really easy deployment. The idea is to give the power back to you, the user, whether you're just one person or a whole organization.
So this isn't just Web3 Part 2 then? Because Web3 was all about, ownership, token.
Right, NFTs, DAOs, often very finance-focused. The sources describe Web4 as the next logical step. It takes decentralization, sure, but it integrates AI automations specifically for community governance.
So utility and policy become the main thing.
Exactly. It's less about just own your data and much more about your network, your rules. Definitively. Okay, let's get into it. To really get the Web4 vision, you kind of have to look back, Web 2, that was the era of giants. Facebook, Twitter, they built these massive walled gardens.
Totally centralized. And they controlled everything with these secret algorithms designed for engagement, maybe not always for healthy communities.
Pretty much. Then Web 3 came along, waving the banner of blockchain. It promised ownership, decentralization.
But honestly, for a lot of people who just wanted a reliable forum or chat space that wasn't controlled by some big company, Web 3 often felt, complicated.
Super complicated. And often, tangled up in the crypto side of things. Governance could be slow, clunky.
Yeah.
So Web 4, as described in these sources, tries to cut through that complexity while keeping the autonomy part. The core idea is integrating AI automation.
Which we definitely need to talk more about.
Oh, absolutely. Integrating that AI with verifiable community governance. The goal is this truly decentralized, transparent digital space where, individuals call the shots, not corporations.
Okay, but hang on. AI automation. Doesn't that just risk creating a new kind of black box? How do you stop the AI itself from becoming the central controller?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it goes straight to the core philosophy here. The stated aim is radical transparency, making censorship really difficult by design.
How?
Well, Linkspreed, who seems to be the main driver behind Web4 Lite, they talk about radical openness. And what that means practically is they're making the entire source code public.
The actual code for the platform.
The whole thing. It's not just a promise. It's built-in proof. Anyone can look at the code, audit it, verify how it works. That's how they build trust, through verifiable openness, not just marketing speak.
Okay, that makes sense. Trust through code. So let's break down this philosophy. You mentioned 3 pillars.
Yeah, they frame it around 3 core ideas. Pillar 1 is transparency and trust. We already touched on this. Web 2's opaque algorithms killed trust. The only way back, they argue, is open source.
So anyone, a developer, a researcher, even just a really curious user, can check the code, verify how data is handled, how moderation works.
Precisely. No hidden agendas possible when the code is out there for everyone to see. This kind of verifiable trust is the bedrock.
Okay, that transparency naturally leads into the second pillar, right? Which is community control and sovereignty, if the code's open.
Then anyone can take it. That's the key. It empowers, the little guy, the niche community. Anyone can fork the project.
Forking. That means making a copy, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You take a snapshot of the code and start your own independent version. So let's say the main Web4 project makes a change you don't like.
You don't have to just accept it or leave. You can take the code as it was and run your own network with your own rules.
Bingo. And this isn't just theoretical. The sources talk specifically about hosting it on your own hardware, like physically owning the server. Okay.
They even mentioned a tool called Web4 Home that lets you run it on something as simple and cheap as a Raspberry Pi.
Wow. Okay. So sovereignty isn't just a concept. It's like a physical thing. The server's in your house, running your rules.
That's the idea. Total immunity from platform whims or policy changes you disagree with, because you control the actual physical infrastructure. It's the ultimate, your network, your rules.
That's a pretty powerful idea against, corporate control. Decentralization through physical ownership almost.
And the third pillar kind of flows from that openness. Accelerated, decentralized innovation. Meaning when the code's open, you get developers from all over the world jumping in, finding bugs, adding features, experimenting.
So it evolves faster than any single company could manage on its own, because the community is building it.
Exactly. Innovation driven by actual user needs, not just a corporate roadmap or profit motive. So if we circle back to that Web3 comparison, Web3 was decentralization, but maybe too complex, too focused on finance. Web4 sounds like it's aiming for decentralization, plus utility, plus trust, plus making it actually usable for regular community managers.
That seems to be the core difference, yeah. Using open code and AI, not just for the tech, but to make managing the rules and structure accessible. Even if you're not a coder, disclosing the source code is that big signal. We prioritize you, the user, and verifiable trust.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical, especially for listeners thinking, okay, sovereignty sounds great, transparency sounds great, but managing servers, learning Linux, no thanks.
Right. That's the classic open source challenge, isn't it? How do you keep the core tech open and trustworthy, like a public good?
While also offering something easy and reliable for people or organizations who just want it to work without the technical hassle.
Exactly. And the solution here seems to be this hybrid approach. There's the open source foundation, and then there are commercial services built on top. We need to kind of separate those layers.
Okay, let's start with the foundation. The Web4 Lite open source core. This is the raw tech, right, for developers, innovators.
Yeah, this is the engine designed to let people build these high-performance communities without corporate oversight. And like we said, the entire source code is available. You can inspect it, change it, contribute back.
But there's a catch, usually. The license. What's the deal here?
Yes, the license. It's crucial. It's the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International, or BYNCSA 4.0 for short.
Okay. CC BY NCSA 4.0. Let's break that down. What does that actually let you do, and what does it stop you from doing?
Right. So the BY part is attribution. You got to give credit to the original creators, Linkspreed. Standard stuff.
Makes sense.
The SA is share-alike. If you take the code and change it, you have to release your changes under the same license.
So you can't just tweak it a bit and then make your version closed source or proprietary. Keeps improvements flowing back to the community.
Exactly. It protects the commons. But the really big one is the NC non-commercial.
Non-commercial. Okay, this sounds important. What does that restrict?
It means you can't use the base open source code itself primarily for commercial gain. You can't just download Web4 Lite, slap a new logo on it, and start selling it as a service directly.
So prevent someone from just profiting off the free community work without adding significant value.
Pretty much. Think of it like a community garden. Everyone can use the plots, share adapt. Everyone knows who started it, attribution. If you breed a new type of tomato, you share the seeds, share alike. But the NC part means a big supermarket chain can't just come in, harvest all the free vegetables, and sell them in their stores without contributing anything back to the garden itself.
Okay, that's a helpful analogy.
Yeah.
It keeps the core focused on community building first.
It does. But that NC clause, understandably, might make businesses or non-technical users nervous. They need guarantees, uptime, support, easy setup.
Which they probably can't get just by downloading raw code.
Right. And that's where the second layer kicks in, the commercial managed services.
Okay, so this is the answer for the listener who wants the benefits, the sovereignty, the control over rules, but doesn't want the tech burden.
Absolutely. These are services likely offered by Linkspreed or partners that build upon that open source core. They add their own proprietary features, manage the hosting, provide customer support, guarantee performance. Basically, they handle all hard stuff.
So you pay for the convenience and the professional layer?
Exactly. You get the underlying transparency of the open source core, but you buy the ease of use, the reliability, the hands-off operation. The sources mention specific offerings like Web4 SNAS.
Yeah, SaaS. Social networks as a service.
Yep. Sounds like push-button deployment and management. And they also mention Web4.community.
Okay, Web4.community. That sounds like the direct route for someone who just wants to sign up, define their community rules, and get started immediately without touching any infrastructure.
That seems to be exactly the point. It's the managed, ready-to-go option, so you have choices. You can be a developer digging into the open source, or you can be a community leader using Web4.community, focusing purely on your members and your rules.
And either way, you benefit from that foundational transparency, but the managed service removes the operational friction. That structure seems, well, pretty smart. It addresses both the purist and the pragmatist.
It really does seem to solve that core tension. The CC license protects the open core, while the SNASIA or Web4.community model provides the professional, scalable deployment that many will need.
Okay, we've got the philosophy, we've got the commercial option like Web4.community for ease of use. But what about the people who do want to get their hands dirty? The developers, the tinkerers?
Right. The sources make a big deal about how fast deployment is for them. If you're comfortable with basic developer tools, getting the open source Web4 Lite core running is apparently, super quick.
Minutes, not days, they say.
That's the claim. It seems to boil down to a few standard commands you'd run in your terminal.
Walk us through it.
Okay, so first, you'd use git clone to just copy the entire code repository onto your machine. Standard practice.
Got it. Pull down the code.
Then you'd navigate into that new directory. Next step is usually installing dependencies, all the other bits of software the main code needs to run. That's typically a command like npm install.
Okay. npm install, that pulls everything needed.
Yeah, it manages all the supporting libraries. And then, surprisingly, configuring the basics setup sounds pretty straightforward, too.
How so? Usually configuration can be a nightmare.
Well, instead of digging through tons of files, they say a lot of the core stuff is in a single file .config.js.
A single file. What kind of things can you change there easily?
Things like the visual theme or style of your network, which features or modules you want, do you want a blog, a gallery, a forum? You'd list them like modules.blog, gallery.
Okay, so you can switch features on and off easily.
Seems so. And also, core settings like user registration. Can anyone sign up? Allow register.true? Or do you need email verification? Stuff like that.
So you can tweak the fundamental structure and rules right there in one place, without needing to be a systems architect. That does sound quick.
Yeah, the barrier to customizing seems low. And beyond that config file, the whole system is designed to be extensible. Developers can plug in their own custom code, their own features.
Like a playground for building unique community tools.
Pretty much. And it also provides APIs, ways for other programs to interact with the network for management, and importantly, for checking the network's health and scale.
APIs.
Yeah.
Like ways to get data out.
Exactly. The sources mention specific examples, like an API endpoint GET v1 nodes. This apparently gives you the total count of active Web4 Lite nodes out there.
And they cited a number.
Yeah, the material we looked at mentioned over 25,000 active nodes.
Wow. 25,000.
Yeah.
Why is that number significant for someone just wanting to run their own little community?
Well, it speaks to the overall robustness and decentralization. In a centralized system, one server glitch can take everyone offline. With 25,000 nodes, that suggests a lot of redundancy.
So if one person's node goes down, the wider network isn't really affected.
Exactly. It signals that the system is built for resilience and scale, that it's not just a theoretical concept, but something actually operating in a widespread, decentralized way.
Okay, that makes sense. Resilience through numbers. Any other examples?
They also mentioned GET-v1 communities reporting over 150,000 active communities running on the platform.
150,000 communities, that's a lot. That really speaks to the easy deployment idea actually working for people.
It certainly suggests traction, but, even if that command line process is simple for developers, it's still a barrier for many.
Right. Most people aren't developers. So how do we get from those npm install commands to the person who just wants to click a button, maybe use Web4.community, or run it easily at home?
Okay, that transition is handled by a whole suite of other open source tools. These are designed specifically to wrap up that technical complexity.
Tools to make it user-friendly.
Exactly. And crucially, tools that also help with the non-technical challenges, the organizing, the policy setting, the stuff that actually makes running a community hard work.
All right, so this part is really for the listener who's thinking, yes, I want sovereignty, but no, I don't want the tech headache or the administrative nightmare. Because running a community isn't just about servers, right? It's policy, roles, Moderation.
Oh, absolutely. That's often the harder part, especially for volunteers. Who gets what permissions? What are the rules? How do you organize all the content? It can be overwhelming.
So how does Web4 Lite help with that side of things? You mentioned an ecosystem of tools.
Yeah, the sources list about 13 open source tools, and a lot of them are focused on using AI specifically to help with community management, not to replace humans, but to, lighten the load.
Okay, let's start with the tools that just make running the thing easier, getting past the command line.
Right. The big one for ease of use is probably Web4 Lite Docker. Heard of Docker?
Vaguely. It packages things up, right?
Exactly. Think of a Docker container as a neat little box that has the Web4 Lite software, all its dependencies, the right settings, everything pre-installed and ready to go.
So instead of installing 5 different things manually, you just run the one Docker box.
Pretty much. It could be a single command or even clicking a button in a desktop app. It takes the setup time from potentially hours down to seconds. That's huge for accessibility.
Okay, that makes self-hosting way more feasible, and you mentioned running it at home.
Yeah, that's Web4 Home. This tool is specifically designed to let you host your community on, like we said, a tiny, cheap computer like a Raspberry Pi right in your own house.
That really drives home the your network, your rules idea. Physical control, low cost.
Totally. It makes sovereignty tangible, affordable. You're not renting space on Amazon servers, it's yours.
But how do people find these home-hosted communities, especially on their phones?
Good question. That's tackled by Web4 Web2 app. This is described as a bridging tool. It takes your web-based Web4 network and wraps it up so it looks and feels like a native mobile app.
So you can get it into the app stores, like the Google Play Store.
Exactly. The sources say it supports Android now, with iOS planned. This helps solve that crucial discovery and usability problem on mobile. And interestingly, this tool uses an Apache 2.0 license, which is more permissive commercially, likely to make App Store distribution easier.
Okay, so those tools handle the setup and distribution friction. Now, the AI part. How does AI help with the management headaches, like setting rules or roles?
Right. Let's take roles first. You know how in most platforms you get admin, mod, user, pretty basic.
Yeah, very limited.
But maybe your community needs way more nuance, like event organizers, content verifiers, welcome committee, regional reps. Defining all those roles and exactly what each one can and can't do, that's complex work.
Totally.
So there's a tool called Web4 Role Tailor. You basically tell the AI what kind of roles you need, maybe using simple descriptions or tags.
And the AI designs the permissions.
Yeah, it helps generate those detailed user roles and the specific permission structures. You might say, I need someone who can manage the photography section, approve posts, but not delete users. The AI helps map that out, going way beyond the simple admin mode user structure.
Wow, okay. That saves a ton of organizational planning. What about structuring all the content itself? Imagine a huge forum.
Chaos, right. That's where Web4 Structurer comes in. It uses AI to help you define categories, tags, how information is organized. If you have thousands of posts, trying to create a logical hierarchy or tagging system manually is, well, almost impossible.
So the AI suggests ways to structure it based on the actual content.
That's the idea, helping you build logical taxonomies and make sense of the information flow.
Okay, roles and structure, now the big one. Rules and moderation. This is where Web 2 platforms constantly get into trouble. How does Web 4 rules generator AI help without just becoming an AI censor?
That's the key distinction. According to the sources, it doesn't write the final rules or make moderation decisions. Instead, you give it themes for your community like family-friendly gaming or academic philosophy discussion or local politics debate.
Okay.
And based on those themes, the AI generates a draft set of community rules, a starting point. It covers common things like hate speech, spam, privacy, etc., tailored to your theme.
So it's like having an AI lawyer draft the initial policy document, saving the human managers from starting with a blank page.
Exactly. It provides a solid professional foundation that the actual human community leaders can then discuss, refine, adapt, and officially adopt. It accelerates that crucial, often difficult policy setting process.
That makes a lot of sense. The AI assists with the complex drafting, but humans make the final decisions.
Right. And what's really interesting across all these AI tools is that pattern. The AI isn't replacing judgment. It's automating the structuring, the planning, the drafting, the tasks that often require specialized skills or just tons of time, things that volunteer mods rarely have.
So it empowers non-technical people to manage surprisingly sophisticated systems.
Precisely. And the control goes even deeper. There's a tool called Web4 Community AI Prompt Lab.
Prompt Lab, what's that?
This sounds really unique. It's apparently a system where the community members themselves can collectively create, refine, and even vote on the instructions, the prompts that are given to the other AI tools.
Wait, so the community collaboratively tells the AI how to behave, like how to interpret the rules for the rules generator, or how to suggest structures for Structura.
That seems to be the concept. It's like decentralized AI training almost. The community actively shapes the guiding principles for the AI operating within their own network. It's incredibly meta, but potentially very powerful for ensuring the AI aligns with the community's values.
That is radical decentralization governing the governors, so to
Yep.
speak, all built on that open code foundation.
And just to show this isn't just theoretical, they even mention integrating high-level research models. There's an example, the Ellis W4 Mini RF Addiction Impact Model.
Whoa, okay, that sounds intense. What is it, RF?
Random forest. It's a type of machine learning model good for classification and prediction. This specific one is apparently trained on data related to social media addiction and its impact on relationships.
Okay, how would a community use that? It sounds less like moderation and more like ethical design.
That seems to be exactly the angle. Instead of using analytics to maximize addictive engagement, like maybe some Web2 platforms are accused of doing.
Right, the endless scroll.
This model could potentially provide insights to the community managers. Maybe it identifies content patterns or interaction flows that seem to correlate with less healthy engagement. The managers could then use those insights to maybe adjust the platform's structure or features guided by the AI to encourage more positive interactions.
So using sophisticated AI not just for rules, but to actively try and shape a healthier community environment based on actual research.
That appears to be the goal. It really highlights that philosophical shift using advanced tools for community well-being, not just corporate metrics.
Okay, let's pull this all together. We've got this foundation of trust through open source. We've got easy deployment options from DIY on a Raspberry Pi with Web4 Home to totally managed services like Web4.community. And we've got this suite of AI tools to handle the really complex parts of governance and structure. It feels pretty complete.
It does seem like a well-thought-out ecosystem. And the sources really emphasize that this whole thing is meant as an invitation. It's a call for people to participate because building that community-based internet isn't just about the tech. It also needs active communities and leaders.
Right, the AI helps, but you still need people. They even mention tools specifically for that strategic planning side.
Yeah, briefly, there's Web4 Communities Audience Architect. Sounds like a tool to help managers think strategically about their members. Who are they trying to reach? Are there gaps? What roles might encourage more participation?
Like using data not just for moderation, but for community building itself.
Seems like it. And another one, kind of fun, Web4 Community Name Generator AI. Uses AI, specifically Google's Gemini API they mention, to help brainstorm names for your new community, possibly involving the members in that process too.
Even the naming is collaborative. It really drives home that participatory theme.
Absolutely. The overall message seems to be, here are the tools, shape the future. Whether you want the zero-fuss managed option or you're a developer wanting to contribute code.
Maybe using something like the Web4 Lite schema guard they mentioned, a Python tool to check configurations.
Exactly. Whether you contribute code or just use the tools, maybe spin up a Docker container or sign up for Web4.community, the point is that participation at any level is what makes this vision of a more transparent, user-controlled web real.
The barriers seem genuinely low now. If you want to run your own sovereign community with your own rules, the technical skill or the fear of complex policy management, it doesn't seem like that needs to stop you anymore.
That combination of openness and AI-driven simplification really does feel like it could be a significant shift. Hashtag tag outro.
So reflecting on our deep dive today, a few key things really stand out. First, just that fundamental philosophical shift of Web 4. Moving away from those closed, opaque systems towards transparent, auditable code that anyone can check. Anyone can even fork if they need to.
Yeah, that's foundational. Second, the sheer practicality of it. You've got the choice. Go fully independent with tools like Web4 Home on dirt-cheap hardware, or get instant professional setup with managed services like Web4.community. Running your own network is no longer this insurmountable technical hurdle.
Definitely not. And third, the really smart use of AI. Not as some scary overlords, but as a helper. An assistant that takes the pain out of complex governance, structuring content, drafting policies, freeing up the actual humans, the community leaders, to focus on, the people.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. We've seen that the tech side of running a network can be made easy, and the complex governance stuff can be simplified with these AI tools.
Yeah.
So if the traditional barriers, the tech complexity, the policy nightmares, the fear of being shut down or censored by a big platform, if those are significantly lowered,
Yeah.
what kind of community, maybe one that's currently niche or controversial or just needs really specific rules, what kind of community that lives in fear of platform lock-in could really thrive using this kind of your network, your rules model? And thinking about those AI tools like the role tailor and the rules generator. If you were building your ideal online space, what unique rules or structures would you put in place right from the start to make it work exactly the way you envision? What would your perfect digital home look like?
Someone to think about. What rules would you make? All right, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into Web4 Lite and the possibilities of a community-based internet. Thanks for joining us. We hope you feel a bit more informed.